thank you for joining us, and I hope that you had the time to really take notes during the previous panel. You know, the advice that you got from all our chairs was incredibly positive, and so you know that they're there to help you. That there is a lot of people and organizations that are ready to help. All you got to do is just call us. One of the issues that we wanted to address is the fact that few people like to talk about this, although now that the Olympics have passed, they have brought awareness to this more than ever, it seems, is the issue of how our mental health has been affected by being sequestered, by having your business in peril, by having your family in such a situation that even your livelihood is under question. So for all the business series and for all the other events and conferences that Latina Style is producing, we have included a mental health panel. And the reason for this mental health panel is to give you some pointers on, hey, how do you know that you're stressed out beyond what is normal stress? How do you know that your body is reacting this way because of the stress that you have in dealing with all the issues? Because we know now, especially if you're still working from home, or if you went back to work in a regular environment and now they're telling you, man, we have to go back to work from home again. It's very, very, very stressful. And so we have put together a panel of experts that will tell you, hey, these are signs that your stress is getting out of control. And these are signs that tell you that you should address these issues. And these are some pointers on how to deal with this particular issue. So we look forward for you to asking a lot of questions. Our panelists are experts in this area. So let me begin by introducing to you our first panelist, Dr. Emperatriz Guerra, who is the Chief Clinical Officer of Nicasa Behavioral Health Services. And then I will introduce, and then we will have Jenny Avila from Nicasa Behavioral Health Services as well. Alejandra Aguilar, outpatient family therapist at the Pioneer Group, and Ms. Elizabeth Quijada Fuentes, Clinical Social Services Manager at the Pioneer Group. So why don't we begin with you, Emperatriz?
Good morning. I'm Dr. Guerra, and I'm in the field for 35 years with Nicasa, 25 years and 7 months. And what we do here in Nicasa is we do mental health service. We had a halfway house. We dealing with people who have dual diagnosis. Most of our clients have substance abuse issues with heroin, cocaine, marijuana, and other substance abuse issues. We had also 2 jail programs. We do family advocacy. We help the community with wrapping housings, and for homeless, we provide housings, and we teach people how to not only have a house, but also be able to sustain. So I love what I do. I'm a mother of 3 children and 5 grandchildren, and I'm very happy to be here today.
Thank you so much, Emperatriz. Can we please have Alejandra Aguilar. Can you please introduce yourself and tell us what you do?
Hi, I am Alexandra Aguilar. I am a child and family therapist at Pioneer Center. I have been here for about 2.5 years now, and I work directly with children and families in order to provide individual sessions, services, as well as family sessions.
Thank you, Alejandra. Jenny Avila.
Hi, thank you, Robert. Good morning, everyone. I'm Jenny Avila, and I've been working for Nicasa for 2 years now. And I mainly do counseling here, individual and family counseling. And then previous to that, I was working for a different organization doing the same thing. We primarily have been serving the Latinx and the African American community. We just, like Dr. Guerra said, we try to help with whatever needs are out there and making it accessible. And that's pretty much, in summary, what I do here. So thank you for inviting me to be part of this.
Thank you, Jenny. And do we have Elizabeth Fuentes with us?
Yes, I'm Liz Quijada. I am the Clinical Services Manager at Pioneer Center in the northwest suburbs of Chicago. I oversee all of our clinical programs that we provide, ranging basically the lifespan, but we predominantly serve children and their families in working through mental health crises or situations and help improve overall functioning.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. So, Emperatriz, let's start, with you then. And this is a question for all of you, our panelists. So, stress and lots of stress is part of our daily lives. If you're alive, you're stressed out. There's very few people that actually, I imagine, have a peaceful day all the time. So, and we've all have learned to deal with stress, and stress has different impacts on our bodies. So, Emperatriz, what are some of the signs that your stress is really getting beyond what is the normal in your life?
Sorry, I was on mute. One of the things that I see is when you have lack of sleeping, you can get the next day, you're tired. Sometimes we can be very angry for little things. We sometimes, we have feeling dizzy. So there are many signs that we need to pay attention, and sometimes we say we are tired, but it's not that we are tired. I think there are signs that our body telling us you are stressed, something happened, you need to stop and take care of yourself.
So, I guess all of us experience, being tired at times of the day, and all of us probably, we all, sleep deprived in one way or another. So, Jenny, any other suggestions to what to look for?
Yeah, I think, Robert, what you're trying to ask is like, how do people can tell the difference, right? Between like when it's like quote unquote normal tired versus like stress when you might need like professional help. I think from my experience working like with the communities and my personal experience, I would say that when I start to notice that it's causing like additional distress or like an impact in my family life, my work, perhaps I'm not taking care of my eating, my health, my physical activity, or anything that I was doing before that I might not be doing anymore, or I may be doing more of. But for me, it would be like taking a look into what's causing like the impact in that life of the person. Like for Latinos, for example, for Latinx communities, I think like research has told us that we sense all of that in our digestive system. So paying attention to our digestive system and how that's taking a toll on the stress levels that we experience on a day-to-day, it's very important to what the previous speaker was saying about doing like body scans and really paying attention to what our body's telling us. Because our body really has been protecting ourselves forever, that's what it does. And so it does take time and practice to be able to listen and not ignore those signs. But again, just going back to the one key thing for me would be like paying attention to what it's doing in my life.
Okay, so we have sleep, exhaustion, take care of the digestive system. What else, Alejandra?
Well, I think it's important to start noticing your anxiety levels because this is something that is very overlooked, especially in a Latin community where we don't pay attention to how anxiety starts to impact us. Anxiety takes different forms and it can be affecting us in different ways, whether it is we are in a moment of complete and overwhelming stress, whether it's starting to take control of how we are able to achieve certain things. Just as mentioned before, our sleep is very important. And if we start noticing that we're waking up every hour, if we're noticing that we don't feel a sense of calm or peace anymore in the moment that we're supposed to be re-energized again, something is taking a toll on us and it's affecting us more than we actually notice. Anxiety has been presented for so long and we've been avoiding it for so long as well. And it's time to really start noticing how it's making us react in our daily routine.
You're absolutely right. Anxiety is actually the next level of stress, because if you experience anxiety, that means that things are wrong, definitely wrong. Elizabeth, what would you like to add to that?
I just think listening to your support systems, because oftentimes they're providing us that feedback that sometimes we don't want to hear, but they're providing it. And that might be in the form of increased argumentations with your significant other, irritability with managing your day-to-day responsibility with your children. How is your relationship with your coworkers? Are you in your office more often than normal just because you're irritable outside of that? And so maybe taking, a look at your relationships and how those are different than what they've previously been, that would be a key indicator for potential stress indicators.
So, one of the things that raise a flag that irritability and anger are getting out of control is when you're really, really mad all the time and you're really, really short with anybody that you deal with, and any little things like sets you off, like we say that. And when it goes from your children to your spouses, to your colleagues, to all of the family, when you cannot take all your anger out on the TV and you just bring it home and do it, and you begin to have serious problems of harmony at home, that's a mega sign. So, Dr. Guerra, so I'm tired. I'm not sleeping. I'm eating terribly. What about, I'm experiencing levels of anxiety, and I'm mad as hell all the time. What do I do? Is that go straight to your doctor, or are there little things that I can begin to do at home once I recognize that all those particular ailments, or all those things are affecting me?
I would say we have to do exactly what we teach our community. We need to learn some coping skills, how to deal with those signs. First of all, we need to recognize the signs, like Jenny said. If we not recognize the signs, we can't do changes. And sometimes those signs come in a pattern of life. And like you say, I'm gonna put a little example. Like, right now we are dealing with a lot stress in the world because we don't have enough employees. It's everywhere. People, I don't know what happened, we don't have enough employees. People is not applying for a job. So you have dealing with many of those duties, and sometimes you come in stress. And I have to be honest, we are human beings and we make mistakes, and we need to recognize it. And the other day, one of my employees that I repeated 3-4 times and she's still not doing, I get a little upset. And I was, wow. So I had to recognize that I did something wrong. I had to sit down and I had to apologize. And at this point, I know it's my level of stress who take me to that part. So I had to call my supervisor and say, I need half day off. I need to relax. I need to think I need to meditate, because, if we're not doing those stuff, then we are coming more, like you say, coming more and more angry, and there's going to be out of our, control. So learning some coping skills like walking, like breathing, like pray, like do meditations, those things, they help us to decrease the level of stress. And then just start taking that first. And you see it's still not working, then we're going to looking for help.
One of the things that really helped me are my pets. Our two little dogs. They're like incredible joy, and they take the stress out of us. And not only that, us, we bring them to the office and they run around the office. And if you're not the mailman, you have a really good friend there. But what you said about walking, about praying, coping skills. One of my big coping skills is my 10 power songs. I have taken the time to go through thousands of songs and select the ones that inspire me the most, that are the best songs for me. And also I have decided, I became a YouTube fanatic because I'm looking on YouTube. They have all kinds of really interesting information there, like the best speeches of all time, the most inspirational speeches of all time, the most unbelievable biographies of people that overcame incredible odds and became incredible successes. Jenny, what are some of the coping skills that you use in your daily life?
So I would add to what Dr. Guerra said, to being able to find space where you can experience joy and a sense of belonging. So it kind of goes hand in hand with what you were saying about spending time with your pets. And I am a big fan of podcasts. One that I really enjoy is by Dr. Thema Brian Davis, and it's called Homecoming. And that helps more with like healing, the mental health issues or concerns that we may have. She has been doing it for a couple of years now. And also, like you said, the songs, for me, it's important to take care of the spiritual side as well. So I participate in I make it a discipline to go to a weekly hour 2 session of what it's called a Temazcal. And that's a spiritual connection with yourself and your body. And it's really within our communities, within our indigenous community practices since we don't know, right? Because we don't learn it when we're in school or whatnot. But for me, that would be something that I would add, like the spiritual part and then the podcast.
And how about you, Alejandra? How do you cope with the stress?
So this is actually something that I personally have been really looking into recently because stress levels have been very high. I like to take listening to music, those basic coping skills that we kind of steer towards more frequently. I take it a step forward where I have 3 toddler nieces, and I use them and their high energy levels to run around and let that stress come out. And sometimes for me, that just is the answer to it all, because I get a chance to just de-stress. I get a chance to run around and scream with them. I have a chance to just breathe and feel that support come in with that coping skill and feel as if I'm connected once again back to reality and being able to be grounded once again. I think that that's been helping me the most with stress, because I tend to overlook how important that support system is and that they're there.
Now that you mentioned that, my wife Lupita's brother, and he lives in Mexico, keeps sending us WhatsApp videos of his kids. He's got 3 kids, one that was just recently born. And they're like an amazing way to refocus yourself and take some of the anger out of your system and some of the stress out of your system. And Lupita is part of a group. It's a close group that they send each other jokes from Mexico. And unbelievably to me, man, Mexicans are funny. When they talk about memes and all those kind of things, that they create and the way they talk about. I mean, they're unbelievably funny. So they circulate these things. And there's one particular one where it's this woman who does these podcasts, I guess, and she's a comedian. I don't remember her name, but maybe she'll mention it later. Elizabeth, when I look at you, I don't think that nothing can stress you. You look so calm.
Oh, goodness.
You got everything under control, and nothing can rattle you. So
So that's
tell
my
us,
anxiety. I like everything in control.
what's your
And then,
secret?
so that kind of speaks to what I was going to suggest, that whole control thing. That's usually how I manage my anxiety and stress, is by controlling everything around me. I think as far as that goes, knowing when to say no, right? Or asking for help. I think that is so important. That's something that I've had to really develop as a professional, on a professional base as well as a personal base. Saying, hey, I have too much on my plate. I have to say no to this. Even if it's a great opportunity, I might have to say no just because it's just too much for me at that moment. And I think that is such an imperative skill to have. And it's hard for young professionals because they're so ambitious, and they're worried that they can't say no to their boss or to whoever. But I think that it's imperative to learn that skill and learn how to set those boundaries and those expectations, and knowing what you can handle with that. I think that's so vital.
You know, I still believe that you know, nothing can shake you, because you look so peaceful. You know, one of the things that it was really interesting that just happened is when we landed the rover on Mars, right? And that was a major source of stress relief for me. While at the same time, it was a major trigger of anxiety at the same time, because I wanted to know, is this thing going to land okay? Is it going to work over there? They would spend billions of dollars in sending this apparatus to Mars. And then we discovered that there was a not tremendous, but there was a significant group of Latinas that were instrumental in making that happen. And in this issue of Latina Style, in the current issue, we're highlighting some of those Latinas, most of the Latinas that actually played a significant role in sending and working with NASA. So finding something that really interests you and distracts you, that is so alien to what you do every day, is something that also really helps you with your stress. Dr. Guerra, what are, you know, have you ever found yourself in a situation where you think, hey, this is too much, I need to do something and I need to do it right now?
Yes, and many times, because I oversee 3 sites, 7 programs, and you can imagine running to one office to the other one, running with, especially right now with COVID, with the pandemic. I don't know why people come in so angry, and clients, they are angry for everything. So I had to deal in every day with that. And I had to compose myself and understand and put the client shoes and try to, you know, work with whatever situation. So there are many times. One of the things that I really love, and I know many, I would say 80% of the Latinas, we love to dance. But right now we can go to dance anywhere. What I do, I dance with the crew in my house. I dance by myself, and I try to, you know, remove all the stress, and they help a lot with taking all the stress. The other part is we are sitting in the computer for 8 hours, 9 hours, 10 hours. And sometimes before they was moving and they help to take the energy, but now it's sitting there. So I take right now, let me say, when I was younger, I did exercise. When I'm getting old, I can't exercise because when I get home, I'm so tired that I don't want to do exercise. I start walking every day and I see the difference. I lose weight, I have more energy, I sleep well. So we need to start doing things different and start changing our life in the way it can help us to reduce or decrease the stress levels.
Yeah, dancing is it's a great advice. Have you perfected all your moves yet?
100%.
Okay.
You put music and I dance no matter where I am.
So we're going to see you in America's Got Talent,
I
soon.
hope. I'm too old for that.
So Jenny, so what about you? What's the major distressor?
Well, I did share a toolkit that I wanted to share with the audience if somebody can pull that up for me. But that's one of my go-tos. I was fortunate enough to have been trained by Dr. Hector Adames and Dr. Nayeli Chavez Dueñas, and they developed this toolkit last year when the pandemic was happening. And so I know it's hard to see there, but I did share it with Jackie so that we can share it. The website is icraise.org. And these 10 steps really do it for me. So like, for example, number 2, right? Name your emotions. So this is actually the opposite. Like, it's not discouraging us from feeling irritable or angry, I'm sorry, but it's saying like, you have the right to feel that. Like, you have experienced a lot of loss, not just physically, but in any shape or form. And so being able to have that support, like Elizabeth was saying, being in community and being able to have an outlet to release that anger, right? That frustration, because it can be very powerful. Like when we feel those emotions, it doesn't have to be something negative like we've been conditioned to believe. But I would really encourage you all to go and get this for your clients, for yourselves.
Can you share that link on the chat?
Here, I'll type the website real quick.
That'll
And
be
look, I
great.
love the quote. I love the quote they chose. It says, "We draw our strengths from the very despair in which we have been forced to live. We shall endure," right? And that's exactly, it captures it beautifully for me. So yeah, I'm gonna type there. And they have more toolkits that are phenomenal. .org.
That is great help.
And again, they're accessible, so for people who might not know how to navigate like the internet and whatnot, if we can be that bridge to make it accessible to our communities, they have it both in English and Spanish.
Oh, that's
So
wonderful.
yeah.
Yeah, because Dr. Guerra was mentioning this morning when people get to the office and they're mad already. If you're in traffic, which is you're in traffic anywhere you live in the world these days, you're mad already because they're always, and they're the other ones, the idiots that are driving on the freeway, right? It's not us, but the other ones that are always either cutting you off or trying to get in front of you. God forbid, thank God we're not in the East Coast, so we don't get beeped all the time. We don't have to listen to horns behind us. And even then, from time to time, we get in the news these lunatics that go way beyond what is even normal for a crazy person, and they create tremendous chaos on our streets. I was always shocked because this always makes the news, and you ladies should know about this. There is a time or a day of the year, I don't know which one it is, where all the wedding dresses go on sale at the same time, right? And they open the door and everybody rushes in, and there's this, control war that goes on in there. So we don't want to get to that point. We want to make sure that we intervene before anything really, really bad happens. But one of the things that is really important is, let's talk about our children. How, the children are going back to school. It's going to be a challenge for them to be back in school. The kids have to deal with issues, the mask or no mask. We really don't know what's going to happen with the kids. So how do we instruct our children to keep their cool and not end up in a major fight and a major issue in the school? So you want to start, Elizabeth? Have you given any thought to that?
Well, yeah, we deal with that a lot right now. We work predominantly with kids and kids that are struggling with school, and we've seen, a lot of increase with kids. struggling with school-based anxiety due to COVID. I always say the best tool for parents is modeling, right? We set our kids up for success by modeling. So if we present our kids with a negative attitude towards what expectations are, they're going to follow suit with that. And again, sometimes we have to be the holder of the anxiety for our kids so they don't have to carry that with them. And so it's almost a fake it till you make it type of ordeal. So they don't have to take on those big burdens themselves.
Thank you. How about you, Alejandra?
One of the things that I have really emphasized in working with these children is noticing what are they reacting to? What is that anxiety building up? A lot of the times that when they're experiencing anxiety, they're not really paying attention to the things that are leading them to say, oh, hey, I am having anxiety right now. I am panicking right now. So noticing their body language, noticing what they're feeling. So just like Jenny said, having that opportunity to acknowledge their emotions, acknowledging what could be triggering them, what in that moment is making them start think these negative thoughts or making them panic in a sense. And then remembering what can I do in that moment that will give me that support, that will bring me back down, that will make me feel I have control again. I have that ability to have that control over my emotions and how I react.
Dr. Guerra, so what are some of the advice or techniques that you can offer when we talk to our clients and and so many things have gone wrong during the pandemic, delays and how do we deal with our clients when they're so incredibly mad, when they talk to us because maybe something went wrong or maybe nothing went wrong with us, something went wrong with somebody else that was, in their lives. So what do we do?
So I can give 1,000 examples, but there was another day a client called me, and I think she has a mental health issue, and she was saying things like, you are a pedophile, you are a rapist, and I was, what? And I was listening, just listen. You cannot take anything personal. This person, like you say, we don't know what's going on in her life. We don't know what's going on in that moment. I just listen to her and I say, I understand you are angry, but if you want me to help you, you need to calm down. Let's breathe. So we have to, again, use the coping skill, even with the clients. I remember one time, one of the clients, she wasn't taking the medication. She was very unstable. She was yelling, she was crying, she was very unstable. And everybody was, freaked out. So I went downstairs. I took 2 hours talking with that person. And I feel compassion. I look at what's going on. We had to read between lines. We had to see what is the other people word. Not it's my word, it's other people word, and how I can help this person. And helping this person with the whole situation they are in, let them know that I'm here not to judge you. I'm here to help you. They open like more a communication with, and it's every day, believe me, it's every day we have more and more clients. It's decreased the anger, it's listen, it had better understanding what's going on, because they know when you care and when you not care. They know when you say something is only to say it, or when you really care for what they happen in that person's life.
There are things that to me are a tremendous source of stress. And I just can't believe that educated people would react like this. So let's talk about the big elephant in the room. Let's talk about the mask and the vaccine. Because to me, it's incredible that somebody would not want to do this, either to protect themselves or protect their family or protect the people around them, or even take into account, I was just talking to a colleague, to a friend, and in her organization, she leads a very large organization, is doing a study on how much money it costs to go through that process, through being in the hospital, being on ventilator, having to be intubated. I mean, the cost is phenomenal versus the cost of the risk. It's a cost, it's a risk and cost. So anything in, you know, and I'm going to ask all of you, and like I said, you know, I'm very transparent. I'm like, you need to vaccine today, vaccine tomorrow. When the third shot becomes available, the boost, I'm going to be first online. But I have friends who refuse, and they have all kinds of excuses. And even CNN this morning had an interview with somebody that says, well, God is going to take care of us. That's what God is around for. He's supposed to, you know, to make sure that we're able to, you know, we're a good Christian family. We take care of ourselves. We respect our God. God will take care of it. So how difficult is the environment where you guys live? Dr. Guerra?
It is. And like you said, we have friends too, they don't want to take the vaccine. But I think the key is to educate our clients, educate our family. And in some way, they have to make their own decisions, you know. There's a lot of misinformation about the vaccine. I watching the other day a pastor who say whoever take the vaccine in 2 weeks they're gonna die. I took the vaccine 3 months ago and I'm still alive. So it is a problem, and I think we need to educate people that we need to see what's going on in the world. It's not only here in the United States, it's in our families, our friends, our community. The entire world is suffering for this pandemic. And then to still thinking that not using the vaccine, we're going to be okay, exposes our children. You're talking about our children, exposing our children, they don't have the same privilege to have the vaccine already. And now there are people crying, oh, I wish I can take the vaccine before. And let me say this. In January, I get the COVID. I get very, very, very sick. I went to the hospital and the hospital say, okay, we can put you on the ventilator, or we had this experimental treatment. When the doctor said to me experimental treatment, and he explained to me, there's no approval. They are experimental. We don't have not even 1% to say it's going to be affecting good for you. He said can be good, can be worse, because we need to see how your body reacting for that. But it's your decision. Or you sign this paper and say you okay, maybe you can die. And I had to make the decision. As Latina, as leader, we make decisions every day in our life, in our business, in our personal life, in our health, and I made the decision. Every 10 minutes, the doctor can and look at me how my body reacted. The vaccine had 95% effective. So we're talking about here 95%, we're not even 1%. I'm still alive, thank God. But we need to teach this our community. You know, what is the worst here? You know, we take the vaccine, every medication that we take, they have side effects. But at least we proven that when you take the vaccine, it keeps you from be sick and also to contagious other people. So I think education it has to be the key, and you cannot start argument with people because that's not the best way. Is you put your point, you get your point, you explain what's going on, why you think, and then people need to make their own decisions.
What do you think, Jenny?
I agree about sharing information and making people aware of what science is telling us, right? I think to understand folks who might not want to do it, for me as a counselor, is understandable because we're talking about communities who have been lied to, you know, for centuries. We are talking about communities who have dealt with like colonization, discrimination, racism, all of that. And so there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of uncertainty. And even when it's coming from doctors and experts, because maybe of their experience of how the service has been delivered in the past, it makes sense to me that they would feel that way. And so instead of convincing them of why it's helpful or why it's better for the community at general, it would be like, again, validating their feelings, their experiences, and then providing them with the information so that ultimately they can make their own decision and their own choice. But definitely addressing like the root of the things I just mentioned.
Elizabeth?
I could not have said it any better. I think that nails, everything with it. There's a lot of education around it, but we work with communities that have not been treated fairly. And again, this is a new thing. It's an unknown thing on all ends of things, and new is scary, right? And so there's a lot of anxiety around things. There's a lot of mistrust from our government on all sides. And so people are coming from those perspectives. And I think education is important, but I think Jenny nailed it. There's a much deeper root there that we have to start addressing, but before we're going to get more people on board with this.
Alex?
I agree. I think the key to it all is always respecting everyone's perspective, understanding the root of it, just because, like they both said, that anxiety, that fear, everyone's in a really fearful position right now, and we have to address that before trying to get them to jump on board on a decision and going through with it. It's just something that we have to respect how they feel while also providing that education, but letting them know, hey, this is your decision. Just know that I hear you, I validate your feelings, and this is just the information that we can give you.
Yeah, and something, if you want to make your own decision based on your own evaluation, put a table and do the numbers game. How many people have been vaccinated? How many of those people vaccinated ended up at the UC or ended up dead? How many people who did not get the vaccine ended up in ICU and lost their lives? Because everybody, and when you listen to somebody, take the time to investigate the credentials of their people. You may not like what the CDC said or the World Health Organization. I have no idea about exactly how the World Health Organization works, but I know the CDC. And I respect the CDC, and I know the credentials of the people that work there. So get the credentials of the people that say, and don't begin to invent your own medicines for all this thing. It's like take 3 turns around the bed and pound yourself on the chest. It's not going to cure you. And the biggest thing that you need to be worried about is that if you don't vaccinate yourself and you get sick, what's going to do with your children? We're going to see a lot more going on right now, and then we need all this new. We have all these new variants that are going on. So, but you're right. Educate yourself. Find out the credentials of the people that you're listening to, and don't make these things so personal that you don't understand, especially people that have no background or no idea how science works at all. I grew up during the pandemic of the polio that, was rampant all over the world at the time that I was growing up. Now with the vaccine, after all these years, I don't know how many years it's been, 50 years or so on, polio has been eradicated. The same thing with smallpox. How did we fight those? We fought them with vaccines that, at the time, they were, for many people, it was a major challenge to take them. So please make sure that you inform yourself with respectable sources. Find, well, no matter what we say, it's going to be a controversy, right? And it's going to be another source of major mental stress, right? So let's get some of your best advice that you have for how to balance your life and how to live with a healthy mental health attitude. So Dr. Guerra, could you go first?
Yeah, I would say we need to be careful because we are very strong Latinas and Latinos, and we are navigate through this pandemic and we survive. We are very positive people that no matter what happened in our life, we stand up and we continue working. We need to be careful how our career, our business is not the extension of our personal life. I think we have to have boundaries. And when we done with our office, with our business, we need to understand now we had a personal life and we need to enjoy that life. We need to say to our people who love, I love you. We need to spend time with our people. And like I said, we are very strong people and very, we work hard because I know we work hard. However, we need to understand that no matter how strong we are a human beings. And sometimes it's okay to look for help. And sometimes it's okay to ask for a mental health assessment or ask for somebody to listen to us. And it's okay to cry. I don't know if it's wrong or right, but I teach my children, you have 5 minutes to cry and the rest of the day to figure out how we're going to deal with the problem. But I think I had to put more than 5 minutes, at least half hour to cry, because it is important to take care of ourselves, our body and mind, and even our spiritual component. You know, we are strong, but we also are a human being. And I really believe that life is short and we need to enjoy the life.
Jenny, thank you, doctor.
Yeah, thank you. I think the takeaway for me would be to encourage everyone to remind yourselves that we are part of systems that do a very good job at putting a lot of blame and guilt and shame, you know, in an individualistic way. And so remembering that we are part of a resilient and strong community that doesn't work necessarily in an individualistic manner. And so for me, that removes a lot of, like, again, the guilt, the shame, and it lets me move forward. And again, how I started with the presentation and finding space and time to create that joy and just being generous and kind to myself, you know, understanding that there's only so much I can do during my 8-hour shift or however long I'm at the office at work. And the boundaries, I would agree with Dr. Guerra about boundaries.
Thank you, and thank you for sharing your resources, Jenny. Alejandra?
Yeah.
I think the best thing that I can say is that we are all human. I know that in our culture, mental health isn't really talked about, but it doesn't make you any less strong of a worker or a human being to put your mental health first. And I promise you, the more you emphasize the focus of your mental health, the more success you come from it, because your happiness is being involved in that rather than being drained. So that is one of the best things to always work on.
Thank you. And Peaceful Elizabeth?
Yeah, I always tell my staff that you can't do your best if you're not at your best. It's
Absolutely. That's a great quote.
Yeah,
it's write it down.
It's so important to make sure that you take care of yourself from a physical standpoint as well as a mental standpoint. I think that's actually almost more important than the physical standpoint, because particularly in our field, we help people get better. And if we're not in the right place to do that, we're not doing our job at all. But I think that goes tenfold across any business, any career, anything. If we're not at our best physically and mentally, we're not giving our all to what we could be, and then our potential is wasted and it's not as full as it can be.
Thank you so much. And with that, you know, that's a wonderful, wonderful thought to leave the panel. I would like to thank all of you so much for taking the time and for discussing this topic that, as you can see, is very helpful and controversial. we wish you the very best. Thank you so much for being part of the Latina Style Business Series. The business series got 2 more stops that we got to do in California, and then we go to Florida. You can join us from afar. Other colleagues of yours from other parts of the country will be on those panels. So thank you so much, Dr. Guerra, Jenny Avila, Elizabeth, and Alejandra. You have been a wonderful source of information, and you've actually lowered down my stress levels considerably. And listen to your power songs, and don't be afraid to sing out loud. And even in your car is a very, very good place when you're in that stressful situation. Just sing your heart out on the way home. So thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you the next time. Thank
Thank you,
you.
Robert. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.